Hey bruh, I ain't gonna cap. This about to be wild. We open up the scene in what appears to be a cathedral, as a verdict is being brought down upon a young man, bound behind his back, kneeling before his holy judge, as they sentence him to be thrown into the Karov dungeon. Our protagonist Kiska disputes the allegations that brought this ruling about as false, claiming no wrongdoing on his end. Judge Bishop disregards his statement, classifying it as nonsense, then orders him to be taken away. He's dragged away by the guards while protesting his innocence, screaming he was framed. Let's take a step back so we can see exactly how we got here. This is Karov Village, where our protagonist was born and raised. The village has an S-rank dungeon called the Karov Dungeon. For this reason, the dungeon is always crowded, with adventurers attempting to conquer it. As for Kiska, he is nothing more than a farmer, which he hasn't found much success with, due to the interference of the village goons, led by none other than Darga, son of the head of the village. Darga approaches our protagonist, saying he heard about the poor harvest this year from his father. Kiska stammers on his words, while thinking to himself, it's only due to Darga destroying his field. Then he settles on simply apologizing. We discover the reason for this treatment is due to our protagonist being an Alks, which is what the residents of this country label people with silver hair. Sounds a little racy, if you ask me. In the past, there was a human who betrayed their kind by siding with the demons, whom also sported silver hair, which in effect has caused this prejudicial treatment and perspective. Cocking back his fist, Darga voids the apology and strikes our protagonist onto his tattered field. Despite the constant abuse, our protagonist can do nothing more than endure. After getting jumped by Darga and his cronies, Kiska is making his way home when he runs into a familiar face, who asked if Darga has bullied him again, then gestures for them to have a seat so she can treat his wounds. Kiska agrees. Then the kind girl is revealed to be his neighbor and childhood friend, Namia, the only person dear to him in the village. Done being treated, Kiska thanks Namia. Wearing concern on her face, she asked the reason for people holding such disdain for our protagonist. With a somber face and faint smile, Kiska simply replies, what is there for him to do? His silver hair is disgusting, which doesn't perturb Namia in the slightest. As she expresses, she finds his hair to be cool, which brings a genuine smile to Kiska's face, as he's only found his hair to bring bad luck. But here he sits with someone who accepts him no matter what. Unfortunately, this jovial moment is interrupted by a shocking announcement from Namia. Her and Darga are set to be wed. Stunned and overwhelmed by the sudden news, Kiska apprehensively utters congrats. This does not seem to be the response Namia was anticipating, seeking confirmation by asking if Kiska is truly okay with that, still not quelling his confusion. She then asked if Kiska plans to live in the village forever, which he replies, yeah. Gripping her dress, Namia expresses her disapproval, as he'll always be bullied by the villagers, and she fears someday he'll just end up broken. Lost for an alternative, Kiska states this is the only place he can stay. Grabbing his hand, Namia suggested they elope. This stuns Kiska, but Namia reassures him they'll be fine running away and living on her savings. Still hesitant, Kiska asks is she sure about this. Namia confirms, stating she doesn't want to marry someone like Darga. Seizing the moment, Kiska claims his love for her, sealing it with a kiss. Namia returns his feelings, affirming that she too loves him. It is now the dead of night. Packed up and ready, our protagonist heads out to meet with Namia and leave the village. Running with enthusiasm, he believes his dark days to be over. But as he approaches Namia's house, he hears a noise. Getting closer, he can hear screaming and a demand to stop it. Recognizing Namia's voice, he immediately drops everything, dashing towards the origin, bursting into the room the voice was emanating from, yelling her name, stricken by what he saw. Darga and two other men surrounded Namia, putting her in a compromising position. Darga asked the reason for his presence, but Kiska's only concern is what they are doing. Darga states, it's clear to see, prompting Kiska to demand he move. Confusing, this all brawn, no brain, head-ab boy. So Kiska decides to knock some sense into him. But unfortunately, our lightweight protagonist is simply outclassed. And beyond that, outnumbered. Namia pleads for them to stop, as they tower over Kiska, yet again asking him why he's here, especially at such an hour at his fiance's house. With no good recourse, Kiska remains quiet, so they decide to switch the tactic, pinning Kiska against the wall, then ripping off one of his fingernails. The sudden shock of pain had Kiska screaming in agony, as Namia can only look on in horror. Darga comes in and plucks off another fingernail. No longer able to bear witness to the gruesome scene, Namia shouts for them to stop. Agreeing to forfeit the truth, Kiska attempts to dissuade her, only to be forcibly muted by Darga. He's pummeled to the brink of unconsciousness as Namia laid bare their wishful plan for escape, increasingly infuriating Darga in the process. With each other both in mind and sight, they hopelessly watch the other succumb to their demise, fading into the darkness of despair. Branded a sinner, accused of assaulting and murdering his beloved, Kiska stands before his place of banishment, still haunted by the news of Namia's passing, recounting how Darga, in a fit of anger from uncovering the truth, killed Namia. Then all the blame was pinned on him. The holy judge asked if he had any final words, which seems like a rhetorical question considering he maintained his innocence, but was thwarted by the false testimony of the three crooks responsible for his suffering, coupled with the presence of the village head, whom of course was on the side of his delinquent son. With eyes barren of hope, Kiska remained silent, so they proceeded with his execution, cutting his arms loose from the ropes. Darga comments, "Hands free or not, he'll perish in the end." A fair conclusion, as no one teleported into the dungeon has ever returned. His executioners are given the order to proceed, promptly shoving Kiska forward into the teleportation circle, activating the magic. Bracing himself with tears streaming down his face, one word reverberates through his mind. Hate. Hate for the one who snuffed out his sliver of happiness, to the herd that allowed him to get away with it. Hate is the only thing he feels for them. Finding himself face down on the dungeon floor, Kiska gets up, staring at a long hallway before him, acknowledging he is now in the S-rank dungeon, Karov. He hears a terrifying growl, indicating something is approaching. Then an A-rank bugbear comes into sight. Panicked, Kiska recounts hearing adventurers saying, "You'll never escape an encounter with one of these monsters." Nonetheless, he must attempt to flee. The bugbear quickly closes the gap, taking a swing at our protagonist. Narrowly managing to dodge the crushing blow, Kiska yells for anyone to please help. That's when a shadow appears between him and the monster, asking if he would like their aid. Confused but desperate, he begs for their help. The shadow takes a female form, agreeing to assist by bestowing him a skill. A system notifies the reception of the skill, save and reset. Then the shadow disappears, leaving Kiska yet again face to face with the bugbear. Unsure how to use his newfound skill to defeat the beast, the bugbear throws another punch at Kiska, this time connecting with the side of his face at full force, sending him flying into the afterlife with one punch. But wait, opening his eyes and springing up, Kiska is floored at being alive. What could this mean for our protagonist? Find out in the next chapter.